If you want to make regular, profitable sales from Google Ads, you don't need a big budget. You just need the right strategy and to avoid the traps that needlessly drain your budget. After generating over 200 million in e-commerce Google sales for brands of all shapes and sizes, I've developed a strategy that can crush it for any budget. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to make Google Ads work for any budget, what returns to expect, how to structure your account, and the guardrails to keep your spend profitable month after month. Before we dive into this setup, let's talk about something that holds a lot of brands back: the fear their budget is too small to even try. I see this all the time. Brands assume they can't compete because they don't have a big budget, or they've heard Google Ads are expensive. And honestly, I get it. When you hear about $5 or $10 clicks, it sounds like a rich man's game. But here's the truth. Google doesn't reward who spends the most, it rewards who gives customers the best experience. With the right setup and a bit of patience, I've helped small stores go up against multi-million-dollar competitors and win. You can absolutely be profitable on $50 a day as long as your products, feed, and campaigns are set up correctly. I've worked with e-commerce clients from $10 a day startups all the way to billion-dollar retailers, and every single one of them started off small. So don't hold back because of budget. Start small, learn fast, and build as you go, and that's how the big brands actually do it. But starting small only works if you do it right, and that's where this falls apart for most people. So why most people fail with a small budget? For most e-com brands, $50 to $100 a day is a solid starting point. Lower can work, but it'll take longer for Google to learn. The biggest reason people fail, they launch a handful of campaigns with no structure or strategy, expect instant sales, then shut everything off a week later. They never give the system enough time to learn, so they never see what's possible. The fix is simple. Treat the first 90 days as a disciplined test. One campaign structure, weekly reviews, and patience, and that's how you turn a small budget into useful data and profit. If your goal is six-figure months, sure, you'll eventually need to spend more. But this first stage isn't about getting rich overnight. It's about proving that Google works for your business. What to expect on a small budget? Results depend on where your traffic's already coming from. If you already have sales from Facebook, TikTok, or email, Google will usually pick up that momentum pretty quickly. Those same people search on Google to compare or check reviews, and that's where Google closes the sale. In those cases, a 5 times return on ad spend early or higher is actually pretty common. As data builds, that can grow to 6 or 7 times, even higher, within a couple of months. Starting completely cold, expect a lower return on ad spend. 2 to 4 times is normally normal within the first 3-4 months. Think of it like building a fire. At first, you're gathering wood and getting the spark going. Once Google learns who your best customers are, that's when it really starts to burn. Those early weeks aren't wasted spend. You're buying data, and that data is what drives long-term profit. The rules for small budgets. I've audited hundreds of small budget accounts, and the biggest mistake is overcomplicating everything. Too many campaigns, too many changes, too much noise, and simply not an understanding of how Google works. When you're spending less, simplicity becomes your biggest advantage. Rule 1, 1 campaign, 2 at the very most. That's how you collect data fast without spreading your budget thin. Rule 2, make small, steady changes. Let the algorithm learn before you tweak too many things. Rule 3, be patient. If you keep adjusting budgets and bids, you reset learning and you end up wasting spend. Follow these 3 rules and you'll already be ahead of most advertisers. I'm not covering feed setup or tracking here, guys, as we get into the screen share. It's literally a few clicks in the Shopify Google Sales channel, and I've got full videos on this already, or there's lots on YouTube. What matters now is what happens next inside the account. So let's head into Google Ads, and I'll walk you through the exact structure that makes small budgets perform like big ones.
Okay guys, so we're in here in a client account, but I'm going to show you what I would do if I was in your shoes. And as you can see, this client account doesn't do too badly. $690 in spend per month, did $5,520. So this is a small spend account. I've got multiple that I can show you in this space, although it isn't who I normally work with these days. A lot of my clients actually started off small and we grew together. So what do you need to do? So when you first come into an account, guys, everyone overcomplicates it when they come up with their Google Ads strategy. What you need to do is just choose, are you going to do a standard shopping campaign or a PMax, and just choose one of them. I'm not telling you to do both if you are very, very early on. Just choose one. If you choose two, you can spread your budget too thin. Realistically, you can actually run both at the same time, but I don't want to confuse you. Just choose one. Standard shopping is really quick to get up and running. PMax gets you across all of these different channels, right? PMax works better with more conversions, which is why most people tell you to go standard shopping, but I've got multiple clients that I've gone straight to PMax and also done well with. So if you stick to the process, you'll be fine. Just choose one, okay? What we'll do then is we'll click the plus and we'll click campaign and we'll click sales. And then I like to remove everything else other than purchases for Ecom. And then if you're going to choose PMax, choose PMax. If you're going to choose shopping, click the shopping. Let's just do that for argument's sake now. It'll try and make you do PMax, but if you want to do standard shopping, do that. And then we're going to call it standard shopping campaign. And then, look, here in choosing what products to put in this campaign, I'm going to tell you, I like just doing all products all at once. If you're really trying to conserve spend, you could just choose your best sellers if you know what those are. But a lot of people, if they're just starting, they don't know what's going to sell well on Google. And to be honest, if it sells well on another channel, doesn't necessarily mean it'll sell well on Google. So I like to do all products, but you could focus on best sellers. You could focus on products that have high profit if you're worried about profit. You could choose products not bulky and costly to ship, for example. You could choose products that are in season, for example, and you don't want to choose products that are if you have a seasonal store. So, but I mean, for me, I like to go all products when I start. And this is even on a small budget. To be honest, it's actually even more important on a small budget because realistically, you want to give Google as much wiggle room to work with. Click continue. We'll also get to, the actual process here, guys. Now, you can start on as little as $10 a day. I don't like going under 20, but realistically, a good starting point is 50. That's $50 is a good starting point. Manual CPC or max clicks is what I like to work with. But personally, I still go max clicks a lot of the time and I will bid low. Like I'll start off at 50 cents, sometimes even lower, just to see what works. Out of habit, I just do here 1 cent, just so I can see for new customers, but you don't have to worry about this too much either. So don't worry about the new customers too much. Now, locations. I like going broad again because I just don't know where it'll work. But in saying that, always select presence here as well, not presence or interest. If you sell in a geographical area and it's quicker to ship there and you've got a good brand presence because maybe you've got a physical store or your warehouse is there or that's where you started and you've got a lot more brand equity in a location, just do your location. Like for me, it's the Gold Coast, right? Australia, it's still nearly 900,000 people I can target here, or you can go radius. Actually, it's probably better if you go radius. And I like working in kilometers, and maybe you go 200 kilometers around Gold Coast or your place of business, right? And then you're going to capture a big portion of population if you go nice and broad, but also you'll be in an area where you've got good brand equity because all my clients that are based on the Gold Coast, they sell better on the Gold Coast, or at least in the state they're in. So maybe we'd go Queensland, or if you're in New York, you select New York or whatever it might be, right? So that didn't work because I went radius, but I'll do location. So once you select your location, let's just go Queensland for this, just so we go nice and broadish, but not too crazy. This EU stuff is doing my head in. Next, ad group, I'm going to go all products, but you could do best sellers, you could do whatever you wanted. And then if you want to filter the actual products, you're going to have to click here, right? And you can just select the products if you want to do it and go by however you've got it. If you've got channel, if you've got custom labels, if you've got product type set up, item ID is an easy way to just cycle through and search for it. Be a little bit more manual though. But I'll go all products next. And that's it. That's how quick it is to set up a shopping campaign. And then we publish it. And that's it, right? That is all I would do if you were just starting out on a small budget. If you have a lot of branded traffic, so your brand gets searched a lot, I would create what's called a branded search campaign. Now, a branded search campaign is literally just a search campaign which targets your own brand. Now, this is particularly important search, so text-based, right? If your brand, it gets searched a lot, it's important. And if you're using PMax, it's even more important. So if we'd gone the PMax route and done a PMax campaign instead of shopping, reason I haven't done that is we're assuming it's a brand new account, no data, and we want to get it up really, really quickly. Create this branded search. I've got multiple videos on how to do this. I'm not going to run through it now because it's a little bit boring to watch and takes time, and I don't want this video to be super long. Set it up, target your own brand, search terms. I, again, don't like automated bidding strategies on this. Going back to shopping, I would, if you already have campaigns running and you're using target ROAS or something like that, or max conversion value if you're using PMax, just use those. I'm not telling you to optimize for clicks generally. It's just if it's a brand new store. So get that branded search campaign up and running. It will be your best campaign. When you see huge return on ad spends, it's always the branded search campaign that you'll see. We've covered off which campaigns. That's all I would do, legitimately. Don't overcomplicate it. Which products, where to target. The bidding, I've already told you. But what's our bidding and optimization schedule now? Okay, so we'll come in here every single Monday, right? And we're going to look at the rolling 30-day period, and we're going to see how things performing, right? Are we seeing a nice trend upwards, or are we seeing it downwards? And I like to look at each thing in its own little silo, right? So what this tells me is our return on ad spend this week is actually trending up nicely, right? Awesome. We can look at this at a longer time frame too. I'll often look at 90 days roughly as well, just to see how things are going. And the trick is to look at it not too zoomed in. So you don't want to look at it daily. This gives you a nice little gauge as well, the weekly view, but then monthly is going to give you an even better one. And we would say, arguably, it's trending upwards. This month is much better than last month. It's much better than August. So we're trending in the right direction. And you can look at this going back even further if you like, just to make sure that you're addressing seasonality, right? We'll go to the end of October. Often don't include the week you're halfway through, but you can see this business is very seasonal. In summer, it does amazingly. In winter, it doesn't do so well. So naturally, what we like to do is we lower spend when that happens. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to bid really low in our shopping campaign. If we see that it's not getting any impressions or clicks, we're going to increase that bid. We're going to come in once a week, as I said. You don't need to make changes every week, right? But what are you doing? Very early on, you're probably not going to be doing much other than just increasing budget and increasing bids, potentially going into the shopping campaign and adding. So in here, if we go into our shopping campaign we just set up, we go up to search terms. We look in here and we start seeing search terms that are irrelevant or costing too much and not making sales. Now, you don't want to add too many either, because if you add too many, you can't scale. But this is one way of limiting it. I would not, other than increase budget and then changing bids. So if you find you're not profitable, you can lower your bids a little bit. But realistically, you're going to have to wait really a few weeks to start seeing proper data to see if your products are making the cut, right? Add the negatives if they're relevant, but please be patient. It's going to be really good at finding new sales. And eventually what you're going to do is you're going to switch to target ROAS down the track. Don't do it too quickly, but it's going to find you some products that do well. What to expect over the next 3 months. So I've got 3 kind of scaling phases. I'll talk about it in the next video because I don't want this one to be too long, but I'm just kind of preempting you what my process is and how to crush it with a small budget. We've got our foundation. This is our foundation level. We're going to just have our branded search and our shopping, or just our shopping, and then we can add to it once we get into scale and expansion. But really, my method is keep getting more products seen, keep increasing the budget, but keep improving everything on your site, keep improving your other forms of marketing as well, and Google's going to actually find your customers for you. I know this sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it works. And it works if you stick to it a really long time, okay? So tune into my next video. You kind of know what you're doing now. You're really just coming in once a week, seeing if the campaign's doing well, seeing which products are actually in the products tab here are doing well. One thing to note is make sure you're constantly checking these diagnostics here. And if anything's got, like here, promotion overlay image on link, I've actually told this client multiple times about this and they just won't change it. And it's one that they want on there, and I keep telling them it gets disapproved, but that's another story. But you want to make sure that these kind of, 1, you stay in stock, and then 2, on the other ones here, that you fix these errors, okay? Very, very important. So guys, that's in a nutshell what you're going to want to do. And as you find that you're doing well, you can keep increasing that budget. You'll hit a point where you won't be able to more, but I'll cover the actual scaling process down the track, okay? We'll jump back into it.
All right, here's the deal. Most people, they bail just before the magic happens. They yank the plug right before Google's compounding engine kicks into high gear. But you're smarter than that. Stay patient, feed the algorithm, and watch what happens when the data starts stacking in your favor. That's when you go from meh results to holy crap, is this real? kind of growth. But don't forget, Google Ads isn't fairy dust. It's not magic. It can't save a bad store or a weak offer. It multiplies what's already working. So keep sharpening your store, your offer, your customer experience. That's your rocket fuel. If you're hungry for more and you want to see how this exact setup turns into six-figure months, don't miss my next video. I'm pulling back the curtain on the scaling secrets that gurus never talk about. And if you want to grab my full framework, I'm going to leave it below. It's the framework I wish I had when I started. Step by step, no fluff. So guys, hit subscribe, grab the download, and I'll see you in the next one where we turn steady sales into unstoppable growth.